All right, this is going to be a quick camera comparison between the iPhone 5S and the Google Nexus 5 or LG Nexus 5. I'm going to take some pictures here. I'll take some indoors with no flash, and I'll just point the camera out the window here and take a couple outdoor pictures with no flash. And then post the links to those in the comments. You guys can check out the full-size pictures if you want to actually compare the two. But we'll talk a little bit about the camera apps. I think that the camera app in the iPhone 5S is a lot better than the camera app in the Nexus 5. It's faster, it's easier, it just works a lot better. I like the controls on the iPhone 5. I don't like the camera app in this Nexus 5 at all. I think that even though the camera supposedly isn't as good quality on the Nexus 5 compared to the iPhone 5S, I think that the app is the worst part of the whole thing. I think that Google really needs to rework this app. But you can see I've taken two full-size pictures here of this park tool, and again, we'll post these online. You guys can check them out. Right away I can see that looks like the Nexus 5 might have done a little bit better job with the exposure than the iPhone 5. The iPhone 5S looks a little bit too dark, but we'll post these up for you guys to see. Take this away, we'll go back to the camera, we'll shoot this out the window here. Put it right up to the glass and just press go. And there's that one. And we'll take this one here and do the same. And we'll put these up like that and press go. And there's that one there too. So, you know, I think that even though this is going to be a direct comparison between these two phones, these phones are substantially different in price, and they definitely have different camera guts as well. They both have 8-megapixel cameras, but the iPhone 5S has been marketed as a way better low-light camera, way better noise control, way better resolution than its predecessor, and so we'll see how these two compare. iPhone 5S on the left and the Nexus 5 on the right. And again, these are low light, available light, no flash photos. We're zoomed in here on the detail of the text, and you can see it's very, very much more clear, more crisp on the iPhone. A little bit of motion blur, a little bit of handshake here on the Nexus 5. Again, this is very unscientific, but this lends a lot of evidence to Apple's including a better low light sensor on the iPhone 5S compared to some of the other phones like the Nexus 5. If we look at these two pictures, you'll see that this actually tells a little bit of a different story. Again, we have the iPhone 5S on the left and the Nexus 5 on the right. But the exposure on the right here with the Nexus 5 is a little bit off. It's a little bit underexposed. The snow and the sky probably tended to confuse the sensor and the camera a little bit and tended to underexpose the image. The iPhone is a little bit nicer exposure here, a little bit more accurate. But overall, these pictures look pretty much the same in terms of resolution, color accuracy. They're actually quite similar. I think the Nexus 5 did a great job here with the sort of brighter, more bright scene compared to the other thing we just looked at with the low light available shot. And actually, we'll see more detail here in the next frame. So again, we've got the Nexus 5 on the right, iPhone 5S on the left, and this is a sort of corner crop from that same scene. You can see that the iPhone 5S has better sort of noise control. If you look here in the shadows, a lot more noise on the Nexus 5 than the iPhone 5S. But if you look at like resolution, like look at the meter here and the meter here and the 4x4 and the 4x4, you see actually quite a bit of detail in the Nexus 5 compared to the iPhone 5S. I think that these hold up really well, and I would almost argue that there's more detail. I mean, granted, there's more noise in the Nexus 5 shot, but the detail, if you look especially in the grass here, you know, it's very, very comparable. It's quite good. I'm actually really impressed and really surprised with how well the Nexus 5 did. The biggest take-home message, I think, is that the camera in the Nexus 5 is pretty good. However, it might not be, or we can probably pretty definitively say it's not going to be as good in low light situations compared to some of the other phones on the market, especially the iPhone 5S. Available light or natural light or outdoor light, it probably is pretty good. I didn't do any flash tests. I do have some flash tests of the new iPhone dual LED flash, which you can check out in my other videos. But just as a straight, very quick and easy, very minimal comparison between these two phones, the camera in the Nexus 5 is pretty good. I think that if you're not a huge fan of photography, or if you just want something that takes an okay picture that's okay to keep in your pocket, the Nexus 5 will do you just fine.